You're going to hear from me, obviously. Jill needs to tell you some things. And then we're going to have Caitlin, who's going to be the main person here, walking us through it. And then I think Rennie's on, and he's doing the IT. And then Lee's on, and you guys all know Lee. So for my part of this, it's basically making sure that all of our kids are on the CE report. That's the critical part here. So and I've been sending those CE reports out. I've been trying to every week. We took a little break when we were about to begin registering for Bridge because I'm using RAM ambassadors. I'm about to give them a nervous breakdown. So I'll get those out to you. The rule is, and I think all of you are aware of the rule, that if the student is continuously taking courses, they don't need to reapply every semester. It's just if there's a break, if there's a natural break. So they were signed up their junior year, and then their junior or their senior year fall, they didn't take anything, they need to reapply. And we're going to figure out how to do that for people that have already applied for fall as first-time freshmen. So I will be getting those out to you again this coming week. I think you guys got them on Sunday, the reports at the schools, the CE reports. So that's my part of this whole thing. And like I said, I'm trying to rectify the list right now to make sure I've got Lee's master list, and that's the courses you guys signed up for is going to be loaded in. So I'll shut up now. Okay, and now Jill.
Hi, everyone. So it looks like the most complicated part of the next gen system tends to be the routing. And Kat and Rennie have worked tirelessly to make sure that we get the proper routing with the form. The difficulty becomes who the recipients are, and the list was pretty extensive because we did have both coordinators within the districts and we have registrars. So as a result, if you are not employed by VVC, and that would be our bridge counselors, people like Andrea and Rebecca from Hesperia, I'm going to need your date of birth. So what we thought we'd do, we thought it would be easiest to just have you put it in the chat. If you prefer emailing it to me, that's absolutely fine. I had some issues with the firewall in Victor Unified and had a lot of bounce back on the emails, and Jessica Swift was kind enough to help me out in getting those to you guys. So if you'll just put your name and your date of birth in the chat, I'll track those while Kat's doing the presentation. And if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can email them to me directly. So thank you for that.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we can kick off this training. Can everybody see the high school articulation grade submission form? Awesome. Okay, so first step in the process, you're going to enter the form by a link that's provided to you in the notes that's specific for you or given to you by Jill and Chris. What's going to happen is you're going to select whether or not the status of the submission is a new submission. So first time you're submitting for this semester or for this year, or an update to submission. Obviously, if it's a new submission, you don't need to do anything extra. But if it is an update to the submission, you're going to be asked to enter the original submission date. This is for record keeping on our end to make sure that if there are changes to a student's information in here, that we can go back to the original and change the data as needed. For the purpose of this demonstration, we're going to go ahead and do a new submission. Part 1 is the admin proxy information. This is the person who will be entering a majority of the data into this form. Now it's going to auto-populate your first name, your last name, and your email address. It's also going to auto-populate the district you belong to. From that, you can select the sites within that district. I'm going to select Sultana because that's my high school that I went to. And then next, you're going to enter in the instructor information. So I'm just going to put in Testerton, my favorite teacher. And you're going to select the course from the dropdown. Next, you'll enter the period, We'll say this is for period 1, and we'll put in my VVC ID. And if the student has a VVC ID, their first name, last name, date of birth, the high school course, and the articulated VVC course will auto-populate. So all you'll have to do is enter the VVC ID and then the grade. I'm going to give myself an A+ because I did an awesome job. You're going to go ahead and fill out up to 40 students for that one instructor, for that one course, for that specific period. After that's finished, you're going to go ahead and review your entries and verify that all the data is entered correctly. And you're going to sign off on the form. If you are in the process of this, because I recognize it's not going to be as simple as entering in one ID and then one grade, you have the option to save your progress. You just hit save progress. This pop-up will appear saying that your form has been saved as a draft, which you can go back to in the pending draft forms page, which I will have a toolkit that I would build. If you belong to the CCAP group, I built a toolkit for the counselors and the students and built notes for each part of the process and the external processes of the entire form. And you will be no different. You will be getting notes just the same. And it will go over how to access your draft if you have to stop working on it and you want to come back to it later. So I'm just going to go ahead and select continue because we're going to continue on. And I'm going to submit the form. Oops. That's weird. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back to my pending drafts forms. For the purpose of this test, I set myself as the registrar and admissions and records. So I'll be getting it for each part. So this is your pending draft forms page. It'll look something similar to this. I have a high school articulation grade submission form. Here it says incomplete, complete form. You can see the data that I had entered here. I'm acting as the registrar now. I'm going to go ahead and verify that all of that's correct. It has a note here for the registrar. Now the registrar has the opportunity to return for revision if something is incorrect based on what they believe should be there. So to do that, they're going to select return for revision. It's going to go back to the original participant, which was me when I entered it. They'll enter the subject, and then in the body, they can enter why, if it's a specific student or if it's a group of students, if it's incorrect. I'm going to go ahead and cancel and return to form, but if they wanted to return for revision, they would click this big red button right here. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off as the registrar. And I'm going to submit the form. The last step in the process is going to go to admissions and the records. So again, I'm going to go to my pending draft forms page, go to my incomplete status high school articulation grade submission form, and I'm going to select complete form. Scroll down to the bottom. Now there's a checkbox here that's asking admission records, the person who's been tasked with entering this data, to check this box once all the data within this form has been entered into VVC's database. So what happens when this box is checked? Sorry. Oh, there's my email notifications that each part of the form has been completed. Okay, so once I check this checkbox, that's indicating not only to the person who entered the data on the form, but also the registrar that this data is complete at VVC. So once that individual goes ahead and enters that data, they're going to go ahead and sign off. And this is the last step in the process, thus completing the form. Yay, we finished our first grade articulation submission form. Now, if I go into the pending and drafts form, I'm not going to see it here anymore. That's because it's going to move to forms history. Now I can see the 3 forms that I had submitted. I can download a PDF and view an HTML. HTML view is just going to be the web view of the document. So as you would see it when you're filling it out. And then of course, PDF is going to be the PDF. Can open an Adobe Acrobat or create a PDF online. You can also download from here and print from here. Nope, that's weird. I'll fix that. Apologies. And that's it. The form's completed. Does anybody have any questions?
Kat, I know that we discussed adding a proxy because we didn't know who in the district would be available in the summer to fill out these forms. Let's pretend like you're the registrar. Would you go ahead and fill out the proxy portion and the registrar portion, or can you skip ahead?
Well, so the way that the form is built, and let me go ahead and pull this up for you so we can look at it live. The registrar can put in, right now they can put in their information. Eventually we're going to have a list once we have that finalized list of the registrars. And admissions and records is obviously not going to be self-designated. We have a person for that, but I set this up for testing, just so everyone knows. You won't see this screen, except for perhaps the registrar where you go in and actually select from a list your specific registrar. But if a registrar is starting the form, they would still have to do this section as the initiator when they start. So proxy admin, they would still be entering the data here if they're doing that step, and then they would have to sign off as a registrar as a secondary step. So it would go to it, they would submit it, and then it would go to them and they're signing off, because we're indicating different portions of the workflow in terms of process.
I'm just going to ask questions because I know some of the stumbling blocks we've run into. Let's pretend like a registrar has a list of 20 students, and then they get a supplement list of 5 2 weeks later that somebody forgot about, or the instructor forgot about. What then?
If that's the case, then they can go ahead and do an update to submission, enter the date of the original submission, and just add the remaining 5 students.
Hi, Kat, this is Andy. Just a quick question, just for clarification. I think that we did decide that it might not be the registrar that's entering this information. So that's just terminology there. So I wanted to confirm that. And then can you tell me below where you have the registrar sign off? And then the next thing is admission and records. So the registrar, is that on the K-12 side, and then admission and records is on the college side?
Correct.
Is there a way that we could let folks know that? Like, this is where K-12 signs, this is where community college signs. And then again, I just wanted to clarify the terminology for registrar, because I know we had the conversation that it may not be the exact registrar that's filling out this information.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely doable. I just would need the specifics of that to know exactly, because I built the form, but I don't necessarily know all of the processes for all of the different campuses or sites. So that's a little hazy to me, but if you can give me specifics, that's definitely something that we can bring in as a suggestion for an update to the form.
Hi, this is Tracy out at Snowline. So if I'm going to be entering the grades and being the registrar, I'm going to fill out the admin proxy and the registrar review, but I'm not filling out the bottom one that says admission. That's VVC, right?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, that makes sense to me now. I'm sorry, I totally skipped the proxy side. So, but it would be helpful if Tracy knows what she's doing, but if somebody else doesn't know where it says admissions and records, I don't know if you just want to say community college admissions and records. I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking about who might sign something that shouldn't.
Yeah, that's absolutely doable. I can put either VVC or community college admissions and records entry and signature. I think I would specify Victor Valley College because this form is specific to Victor Valley College. So, but yeah, that's easy enough to add to the header.
I'm thinking that most of us that are doing this are probably going to be both admin, proxy, and registrar. So maybe not everybody, but I know I'll probably be both. But yeah, maybe like Jill was saying, just where it says admissions and records, entry and signature, maybe just write
If
VVC
Sonia
there.
deals with the VVC, like
Transcripts and stuff?
as far as the like articulation form stuff, the stuff that goes between us and VVC, like I don't really understand what it
You might
is.
want to ask her. I'm not sure. I know she deals with the transcripts when they come and mail them to her, and then when
I don't
they
think they know their own.
sometimes fax them to her, we have to
Like when our students are dual enrolled, is that what
Yeah.
you're talking about? Okay.
yeah. So she helps, like she does something with that. Email her though, because she is working from home. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe she could answer you and.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Raina, you're not muted. I don't know if that was.
Kat, the admissions and records portion of that, they wouldn't even have access to touch that, right? It would be grayed out until it came to us, right? So like they're worried about signing that, I think, but
Right. It wouldn't be routed to them and they wouldn't be able to adjust anything in this section here.
okay, so, okay, I just want to make sure.
I think just for
Can you hear me?
clarity's sake, I think if you just threw like K-12 in front of registrar, like just the K-12 registrar review and signature, so people know that there's a signature that needs to happen internally after the proxy. I think maybe that was more of the question. And then if you threw BBC in front of admissions, then whoever's looking at form first kind of knows what the next step is, even though they can't influence it, or sorry, make that change. Is that
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that
Perfect.
distinction.
perfect?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was wondering, would you be able to show us again, where is the initial place that we go to get this, please?
So right now, because of the way that we're locking down the access to this form, it'll either be available to you once you're set up with a VVC email address, or it will be given to you by Chris and Jill, or I will be given permission to put it in the notes. So just to give you an idea of what those notes look like. I have built a hyperlink at the end of these notes. And when I create it in the PDF version, you'll be able to just click the link here. But like I said, we're still kind of in between on how we're going to distribute it because we have to lock down who can actually access the form and submit them.
Okay, so that's to be determined, and either Jill or Chris will let us know where to go to fill this out.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Kat, will only people with certain logins, just to confirm, people with certain logins will be able to submit a form?
Correct.
And then a question I have connected to the question that Rebecca asked in the chat. So grades are due June 18th. Just for clarity's sake, that is from the K-12 side, the registrar signature is due by the 18th, not the first signature, correct? Okay, let's make sure everybody's aware of that.
Chris,
What?
he's asking if the grades are due by the 18th or the registrar's signature is due by the 18th.
The whole thing, the whole form is due no later than June 18th. So I guess that would be the registrar's signature and it's been submitted to us. And the reason is because we need to get those grades uploaded if we have kids taking fall courses and need the credit.
And how do we let you know who's going to do it at our site?
So I can take that one. So Jessica and I can take that one. So Jessica Swift with MDCP contacted the different districts and asked for who's on the list. Jessica, do you want to piggyback on that?
Yeah, basically every administrator or career technical educational coordinator from each site gave us a list of who they wanted to have as their registrar and as their proxy. And so Jill and Chris have that list as well that they can forward, and it has your emails all on it.
Jill or Chris, would you be able to share that information with me in regards to Mojave? I just want to make sure it's correct. I can't even remember when. I don't recall doing that. Sometimes I forget the alternative ed.
Right. Do you have that?
I can.
Yeah,
pull
she's
it up.
looking at it right now. So yeah, if you want to pull that up, Jessica. So I just want to be Kat. So we're going to send the link out to them. We can send the notes, though, to look good. And then they're going to be able to go on because they're not all going to have obviously vvc.edu emails. So their email, which you're going to get, will trigger that. Correct?
Jill, Chris, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but is there any way you can give me access to share? I think you're muted now, Chris. Oh, here I am. I'm good. I'm live. Oops. Are you guys seeing the articulation colorful one? Yep. Okay. So basically it starts with Apple Valley, Barstow, Lucerne, Hesperia, Serrano, and then Victor.
Alejandra, do you see yourself right there? You're
Yes. How can I add somebody else on there?
You can, I can.
Your administrator, Jerry Crawford, would have to let us know that that's who he wants to make that swap.
Okay.
Your call is being forwarded to a Mitel voicemail system. Extension 25211 is not available. Please leave a message.
Red mute, please.
Okay, Chris, would you like me to leave this on any longer, or is this enough time? Everybody
Has everybody seen it? I mean, just
opportunity to glance at
jump
it?
in if you need us to scroll down more.
I think the only
Yeah,
one is
scroll down.
Goodwill. Goodwill, and then it's MDCP
Okay.
staff.
Okay.
So that's everybody.
Like I said, if you guys need to know, you can contact any of us, Jill, myself, Jessica, and we can let you know.
Stop sharing.
Okay, so it sounds like we're at the Q&A part.
So when Kat finishes up her, am I on mute? Let's see. When Kat finishes up her notes, those of you that are involved in CCAP will know that they are just amazing. They're step-by-step visual. You'll have each step of the way, and she generally embeds the link for the form on the tutorial. We'll have to discuss it internally and I'll communicate with you guys, but I find that that's the best. We do need to hold this link close to the vest. I think for the first time we've come to realize that the districts want to manage this a little bit better. It felt kind of like the Wild West, and it was each school just not haphazardly because everybody was trying, but the way it came into our VVC admissions was, you know, it was piecemeal. And Lisa Cripps, who was wonderful and managed all that and thought like, you know, Einstein and could multitask that way, is no longer with us. She's retired. So we need to get a process in that's solid. It gets the grades out of your hair and to us, you know, cohesively. And if you guys make a mistake, or if you accidentally hit A and it should have been a B or whatnot, you know, mistakes are made, and we can manage to help you. So just communicate with me, and I can get that information to Misty in admissions. So any other questions?
I got one. If you had to guess when the system would be available for people to start putting in grades, what are we looking at?
I'm thinking by week's end. I mean, I'm
Oh,
speaking
okay.
for Kat and I, but we are on the precipice. There was just some last minute information that came through today. They were working with Rennie on the routing. The routing on these forms is a challenge. So that's the worst part. But we got all the information we needed from Lee Bennett, and we're confirming all of that. And it could even be sooner, maybe Thursday.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I have a question for,
Nope, go ahead.
oh,
Kelly.
sorry, for Kat. Was there any way to figure out to mass upload into that form? I know there was 40, but do we have to do it line by line, student by student, or is there a way to mass upload them?
So no, currently NextGen doesn't offer a solution for that that is at least manageable. And because the only upload option that NextGen currently offers is for invitations to forms. So inviting people to join in on a form, not necessarily importing data for data use. So I know that it's an enhancement that a lot of colleges that use NextGen have requested, but we haven't gotten any word on whether or not that is coming soon or if it will be happening at all. So at this time, no, mass upload is not possible.
Thank you for the clarification, and thank you for looking into that for us.
Of course.
Okay, so I think at this point, go ahead, Matt.
My next question, someone's working on the form and they hit a snag. Who do they call?
Probably start with me. I think I'm probably the best liaison to admissions and to Kat. So
Okay.
please feel free to reach out to me.
Okay. All right.
I can direct traffic.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay, so anybody else have questions here? Like Jill said, she has fantastic, or Kat does fantastic notes. We'll get those out to you. I'm gonna be done going through all the courses, make sure that they're all in there, and then we should be able to button this all up by, I'm hoping, I think Jill's right, probably by Thursday. We should be able to go. What do you think, Kat?
On my end, everything's built.
Okay.
So it's really just a matter of getting it into colleague so that the API is pulling the accurate data. And then those couple of little requests for the K-12 for the registrar section and the VVC community college for the admissions section. But outside of that, I think my work is done.
Okay, well, I really appreciate Kat. She's put in so much work on this, and her and Rennie, and we're hoping this is a really smooth system once, we get this down. And I like how it auto populates and everything like that. And hopefully this makes the transfer of grades really easy for you guys. And Kat, they can make a PDF off that, right? You probably said that.
Yep. And it'll be a part of the notes too.
Okay, in the notes, I'll tell you for your own records how you can pull that down. That's really helpful to us when you get that call from that parent that you have that data there. I know where it's going to me, but if you can, filter a little bit for us before we get them, because we have to go into the records to see what's going on. And generally, if there's nothing we can do if we don't see a name, we don't see an ID, we don't see any of that. So it's going to be cycled back to you anyway to see what's going on.
All right, I got two more questions. You want just A or B, not A minus, B plus, that kind of stuff? Okay.
Just A's and B's.
Cool. And then the next question is, I apologize if you already mentioned this. So after this meeting, will everybody get an email when it's ready, or do you want, how will people know, hey, I'm ready to log in and get started?
Well, I guess what we can do is once we get this cleared and Rennie has everything into colleague and we've got every course, so you guys, when you go to load them, you have them. We'll go ahead and notify everybody. We can either go through Matt, or we can, and you guys, or we can just notify everybody. And that's probably what we'll do. We'll notify you, we'll get the notes out, and then you're good to go.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody?
Can I ask Jill what your extension is?
No.
We'd also like your personal cell phone number, Jill.
No. What's your extension, Jill?
2421. I'll put it in the chat.
Thanks.
All right, we really appreciate everybody coming on today, and we're going to make this happen. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you guys for your hard work.